Raptors fans, welcome into Raptors Today. Akil Augustine joined by Sherman Hamilton, Paul Jones. The Raptors were winners of 3 heading into Milwaukee. Unfortunately, they couldn't take the opportunity that sat in front of them, which was a chance to get knotted up into the 8th place spot with the Atlanta Hawks. They fall 118-111 to the Milwaukee Bucks, and someone who I presume should be the MVP, Giannis, after that performance he had. But let's talk about the fourth quarter, which of course started with a huge performance from Brook Lopez. The Toronto Raptors allowed the Bucks to go on a quick run there, outscored 29-16 in that final frame. Jonesy, I'll start with you. How did the Raps let this one get away from them? Because it was a big one.
Well, I thought they did really well considering second night of the back-to-back.
Yep.
And normally your legs get you early in the second half, like midway through the third quarter. It's like you stop at halftime. But they put up 39 in the third quarter. They actually had the lead going to the fourth. And Nick stayed with his regular rotation, which is at the end of the third quarter, you rest your starters. You leave one starter on the floor with 4 bench guys. That formula had worked really well. Last night, it got away from them. And by no fault of any, I know there are people commenting, well, how does he leave? Well, that's the time that he rests guys. Now, he did bring some people back early, but you got to give Milwaukee credit. That's a championship team over there. And Brook Lopez did a really good job with his size, taking advantage of stuff. The defense gets broken down. Lopez there on a lob. That was a Kyle Anderson type slow-mo drive to the basket. But, hey, man, for a guy that size, being able to put the ball on the floor and just get close enough. And this is the thing about Brook Lopez that people forget. He came into the league as a classic low-post guy. And I remember when he went to the Lakers, and I thought, what's this guy doing standing out beyond the arc shooting threes? Well, he's developing and evolving his game. And now he's got that, but he hasn't forgotten how to be big. And he's become a terrific defender. I thought that was a different Sherm, the start of that fourth quarter when Lopez kind of got away from them.
And I think for Nick, one of the issues he had was no Scotty. And when you don't have Freddie on the floor, Scotty becomes your de facto ball handler, decision maker, and obviously Scotty wasn't there. So that impacted their ability to have good flow offensively. I mean, Brook was scoring, but if the Raptors were able to put points on the board, they could have kind of neutralized
which they did the most of the game, right?
Yeah, so I think that had impact. But also I just thought that they fell a bit flat defensively to start that fourth quarter. And this is why I keep on talking about how much impact Fred VanVleet has. The point of attack is so important defensively. And if you have a responsible defender at the point of attack, it changes so much. No straight line drives, maybe a bit more disruption as Milwaukee gets into their offense, just the little things that changes the flow. And you just credit Milwaukee. I mean, they have a deep team. They have guys that when Giannis isn't on the floor can produce at a high level. And we saw that. And for the Raptors, the second game of back-to-back, it became a bit tougher as that fourth quarter went on. And Fred came in and he struggled in the fourth with some turnovers. But I just thought that this was a game that Nick Nurse summed it up very nicely. He's not too worried about that game. They still have work to do. They're trending in the right direction. Yeah, this was a loss that they didn't want, but it's not a loss that they can't get over. And I think moving forward, they can still make up ground with the schedule they have.
10 games left to get over it.
Only 10, huh?
Only 10. We're
just
winding
like
it
that,
down. The news, of course, with Scotty Barnes. His x-rays were negative in Milwaukee. He'll be reassessed today in Toronto. But let's talk about this Raptors team that was coming off 3 straight wins, looking really good. And if you end the game in the third quarter, you're like, wow, this Toronto Raptors team has really found something. How impressed were you with the kind of offense and the way they were kind of able to move the ball and find an identity, even without Scotty Barnes on the floor? Sherm, I'll start with you.
Well, we've seen this brand of basketball offensively from the Raptors over the last few games in terms of there's not that much of the one-on-one isolation ball. And I think that's why, there's been an adjustment phase for Pascal, and he's figured it out. But the more they move the basketball is the harder they become to defend. More guys are involved. They're hitting the defense from different angles. And when you have playmakers at every spot, too, it changes what you can run. And Nick Nurse is doing a great job. We're seeing OG's efficiency go through the roof because of this ball movement. Jakob Poeltl is Jakob Poeltl. He had a bit of an off night against Milwaukee, but he's been phenomenal since he's been here. Fred VanVleet's game is now consistent. The ball's in his hands more. He's initiating offense, and he's got great balance. And now Gary Trent Jr. coming off the bench, he's gotten his stuff back. He knows where his shots are coming. He's becoming an impactful player. So
finally healthy, too.
100%. So I just think that this team's offensive flow, the way they're moving the basketball and moving bodies around, is really why their offense looks so much better. And we saw it against Milwaukee. Through 3 quarters, I thought they did a great job of consistently forcing a very good defensive team to have to respond to dribble penetration, kickouts, and then to punch again off the dribble. And they got some good looks based on that.
I thought they did a really good job playing to their personality. We saw the turnovers, taking advantage of the turnovers, scoring off those turnovers. We saw them push the ball in transition, get open looks, get to the front of the rim. And then with Jakob Poeltl in the lineup, with so much predicated on the screen and roll, here's a guy who sets good screens. Now you've got Fred snaking the screen, getting into the lane, and all of a sudden, that's the breakdown that you need. And it's not coming from always swinging and punching in. Sometimes a screen and roll gives you the ability to get into the lane, and now the defense has to react. You get finishes in the lane, you get kickouts, you get that kind of off the screen and roll, the drive, kick, swing, maybe another drive, maybe another swing. And once you compromise the defense and get them moving, I thought the homestand has been terrific since the All-Star break. And I credit a lot of it to Poeltl being there and everybody finding a role around that, knowing we've got a big guy who can set screens, we can play screen and roll, we can find him in the lane, he'll be there on the offensive glass if we break the defense down and draw people, anything in the lane. He's made a huge difference in so many ways, and the team looks really good offensively right now.
All right, well, one person who's happy about how they look offensively and was looking to get better defensively is Nick Nurse. We hand you off to the coach right now.
Final stretch, what was your biggest takeaway?
Well, I thought we played very well, right? I thought really proud of the effort and fight most of the game. There was just 2 little probably bad stretches. But we just, in those stretches, they just kind of got a couple of at the rim, couple of and ones. We just kind of lost our rim protection, and they kicked out and made a couple threes after we kind of got that fixed. So I'll give them credit. They made a couple big ones down the stretch when they needed them. And I don't know, I thought we still were generating pretty good shots. Just needed a couple more of those to go in to kind of hang in there, but we fought pretty hard.
At the beginning of the game, you said that Precious could be a factor. He did come in with a spark of energy.
Yep.
What did you like from him today?
He played very well tonight, especially in the first stint, which was great. He had a presence on the defensive end. Thought he was good on Giannis. He had a good presence on the rebounding on the glass. So I thought he played very good. It was really good to see. Really good to see.
Obviously, this was just a quick road trip. Your guys are back in Scotiabank Arena almost for the rest of the month.
Yep.
How important is this next stretch of games and closing this one out?
Yeah, I mean, this is it's all these games are important to us. That's for sure. I like kind of how we're playing, though. I think we're playing very well for long stretches of games. Hopefully we can just keep building on that and get some rest now after this tough back-to-back. Get some rest here for a couple days in between games, and then get ready to get back to work and see if we can keep improving. That's it. I think all the games mean a lot, and they're all the same, right? Every one we can pick off will help us, get into that playoff chase or get into the playoffs. So we need to get our rest and get ready to go. But I like the direction we're heading.
Sure mentioned the point of attack on defense, but the point of attack on offense recently has been that same Fred VanVleet, averaging around 27 and 8 over the last 4 games. And on nights when you don't get the best you can from Pascal Siakam, one night they had a big dual force outing, but Fred's kind of been the key. So Sherm, I'll start with you. What have you seen from Fred on the offensive side of the ball? Because the Raptors fans have a love-hate relationship with Fred VanVleet right now, and I just can't get my head around it.
First of all, he is a big reason why the Raptors are playing as well as they are. And I mentioned this earlier. The ball's in his hands more. And when Fred has the ball in his hands, he's such a good decision maker. And you guys know this. As a point guard, you got to figure out when I got to set the team up and when
Yeah.
I got to do my thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And great point guards figure out that balance. Right moments, their timing is excellent. Fred has that. That's a leadership quality that Fred's always had. And I think that when Fred's on the floor, everything is calmer. The whole team's demeanor is more settled. They know they're going to get something based on his leadership. And his breakdown ability has been phenomenal. He's getting into the guts of the defense. He's condensing the defense, and now he's finding teammates. So I just think offensively, the ball in his hands, he can make more decisions. He knows how to run the team, and he can make shots, man. Like, he might be undersized, but he can make shots.
That one over Giannis, that
come on,
fader
man.
off
Come on.
glass.
But he squared him up, backed up on him, and then went at him again. Like, this is an elite defender with a lot of length. Fred went to work.
I'm laughing because we were at the very first training camp that Fred was at out in British Columbia, out in Victoria. And you get used to Knicks training camps, and they have all these like little station work. And one of the things is one-on-one games, and they have like a one-on-one championship at the end of the day. Fred's always winning. He's cooking guys, and big guys too. Like that one year he went at Kawhi Leonard and wore out the brakes on him, popping the clutch. And as Sherm says, he's always been undersized.
Yep.
So he's used to those funky finishes: wrong foot, wrong hand, spin off glass, high off the dusty part of the glass. Like, that's Fred. And the biggest thing for me right now is this guy's healthy. Last year at this time, they were keeping him together with duct tape and string, and he pushed his body and he played through injuries. He's healthy now, and he's making those decisions. And coaches will tell you, if there's a guy on the other team that's getting 40, okay, I know I have to game plan for him. But when there's a guy on the other team that's getting 30 and he's got 12 assists, and now I got to worry about a whole party of people, that's different. And when Fred is doing his thing and involving the other guys and still, like Sherm says, looking for his, it makes the offense so difficult to stop. Toronto's offense is really, really tough when that's going.
And I don't understand the love-hate relationship with Fred VanVleet. I mean, if you're going to complain about something, it's going to be his physical size. But he's a cerebral, highly skilled basketball player. And his production proves it. So I don't understand it. You might not like the size of Fred, whatever. But I'll take skill and intellect on the basketball court over size.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I don't get it either. But to me, I've turned those people off. Like,
I got to stop going on Reddit.
Well, hey man, it's the wise man sees not the same tree as the fool.
Okay, now let's talk about something else, okay? Because Nick Nurse was recently making the case for OG Anunoby as Defensive Player of the Year. Some people feel that ship has sailed. But at the very least, first team, all defense, Jonesy.
Yes. I mean,
Resounding yes.
Look at who he's guarded. Just
Yeah.
pick a guy on another team, and whether their best player is a 6'4" perimeter guy or a 6'9" wing, or in the case of Jokic, a 7-foot center, OG, that's you. And he's just done a terrific job. He has every method of guarding. If it's a smaller guy, he's more physical with him. He's quick. He's quick as any guy in any position. If he's a big guy, all right, I'll use my physicality. If it's a wing guy, okay, I'm going to try to hold him one-on-one so we don't have to go to help. I mean, last night, and I give up trying to figure out block charge. I do, because I know how it was when I played. But if that wasn't a charge on Giannis, like, I've seen worse called charges where, to me, OG had perfect position on that. And, sometimes maybe they ref the name on the back of the shirt instead of the front. But to your original question, OG should be first team all defense.
Well, he has all the elements that you want physically from a high-level defender, right? And Nick Nurse talks about it, the versatility. So he has strength, he has size, he has quickness. Then he has the thing that great defenders have, and he doesn't show it like Tony Allen would back in the day, that ignorant look and that
His
anger.
disposition is
His
also
disposition
pleasant.
is just so calm and so non-aggressive.
He
that
doesn't lobby the refs.
100%. He just plays. He's most of the time when he sees a call, he goes like this. He's like, "What is that about?" He's not animated like that. But OG's toughness, his refusal to be screened, his ability to get under 7-footers and use his center of gravity to his advantage on the bigger bodies, then the lock and chase ability. He can chase people off screens as well. Get through that last screen, get his shoulders through, and square up an offensive player. Then I also like the fact that if you're trying to break him down off the dribble and he puts his chest on you,
Forget it.
you're not going very far now. He's going to change your line no matter how strong you are. And we've seen him do it with the strongest players in the league. So he just has the full range of defensive ability that you want in one player. And then physically, he fits the bill. But most importantly, mentally and from a toughness perspective, he wants to get after it defensively.
I'm going to add one thing. Sherm makes great points. His anticipatory skills on the perimeter. And people say, oh, well, look, he's ahead, and like he does well in steals. And sometimes steals is not a good measure of defense.
Allen Iverson.
Steals sometimes
Why
means
you got to be calling names, yo?
steals means I'm gambling, and if I don't get it, sorry, you guys are on your own back there. But OG gets his. He's like a cat. He's precise. When he knows that ball's in the air, he's like a DB. That's mine. Yeah. I know it's intended for you, but that ball's in the air, that's mine. And he gets a hand on it. Deflections, makes steals, and he's in the right spot in the passing lane for steals. He's not a gambling steals kind of guy. So I think that is a good reflection for him of his defensive capabilities.
Pound for pound, the strongest guy in the NBA?
I don't know how you measure that, but I would say that if you talk to players who he had to defend,
yeah,
they would speak to his strength.
I wouldn't say he's in a class by himself, but the attendance list isn't very long.
Okay, well, I like that one. All right, right now we got to check in with the players post-game.
We fought. We put ourselves in a position, to win at the end of the game. We just came up a little bit short.
In terms of the level of competition you just faced, where do you guys feel like you've made the most progress as a team since the last time you played the Bucks to where you guys are today?
Just continuing to fight no matter what. Like you said, we played the best in the West, we played the best in the East. We're going to go out there and compete. Again, both games, we gave ourselves a chance to winning. So we got to go out there and just try to make as many winning plays as we can to get the outcome we want at the end.
Where did you feel like the biggest collapse happened today?
I would say the biggest collapse could have took place in the third. Obviously they started knocking down shots, going to the hole, getting calls. They got free flowing. They got the playing together. The crowd got into it. So, it's really just go out there and try to play. But it was all good.
We tried our best. We got some stops. And then we missed some open shots. And we'll live with that because you can't control the outcome. You can control getting a good shot or not. And then they made some open shots, and they got some offensive rebounds and stuff. So,
what do games like these mean in terms of, you just faced the best in the West earlier this week, and then now you're facing the best in the East? What do you take away from these types of games?
Oh, just good or bad. Just try to learn from it either way, and then just moving on to the next game. That's all you can do.
Then how important is this home front coming up?
Oh, definitely important. We want to take care of home court and go on another winning streak.
The regular season continues to wind down. As we mentioned, 10 games remain, and the Toronto Raptors are sitting right in the middle of the play-in tournament, as Jonesy calls it, the pit. You don't want to be in the pit, but if you're in the pit, you got to take advantage of what's happening. So let's take a look at what the play-in game actually breaks down to. The 7th seed plays the 8th seed at home. Winner clinches 7th seed in the playoffs. And, of course, the 9th seed plays the 10th seed at home. Winner faces the loser of the 7-8 matchup for the final playoff spot. So the question I have for you, Jonesy, is where do you anticipate the Toronto Raptors team finishing off? I know people are holding out for a 6th seed. That seems less and less likely as time ticks away. 7 or 8 really on the table. 8 looking like a real possibility yesterday. Where do you think they finish?
Well, 8 would be the best. I mean, if you can't get up to 6 or 7, obviously. And how'd you like to be the Miami Heat? 6 games ahead of the guy in 10th, but he still has a chance to get into the playoffs, and you don't. This is the bad part of the play-in. I mean, but if you're the Raptors, 8 would be good because you have 2 shots at a playoff spot, and the second one, if you need it, is at home.
That's the
right?
key, right?
And if you're 10, you've got to win 2 on the road. If you're 9, you're still going to have to win 1 on the road. So 8 would be ideal. It gives you 2 shots. You can take care of it in 1, and at least you have the second one at home.
For a team that's won 7 straight at home, you're feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah. I mean, 6 would be ideal. 7, but if you can get to 8, and Atlanta has a tiebreaker, so you've got to get past them. I mean, even a win yesterday would have put you even with them, but they still have the tiebreaker. So.
Yeah, it's Brooklyn is not cooperating.
Yeah, right? I thought the floor would have fell out on that group already.
And just credit Brooklyn. They've done a great job. Vaughn has done a great job all season long.
With whatever he's been handling.
100%. And even with the loss of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, he still found a way to get these guys to play at a consistent enough level to maintain their ground. So kudos to him. But because Brooklyn is not cooperating, this is making it much more difficult for the Raptors at this juncture. However, I'm not confident in Atlanta. Atlanta will lose, like we saw yesterday. Atlanta will give up some leads and give you a chance. But if you're the Raptors, you have to control your own destiny to the extent that you can. They have a stretch at home right now where they've got 3 games and there's no win on paper, but they should get the next 3. And then they have Miami coming in, but they've got to figure out a way to get the next 3. That would position them, I feel, very well moving forward. So they have a chance, I feel, to control a little bit of their own destiny.
Well, speaking of controlling your own destiny, the Raptors 905 found themselves in a similar position on Saturday. Unfortunately, things didn't go their way, so they're looking for a little bit of luck. We check in with Ben Shulman and Warren Ward, our Raptors 905 broadcasters.
Thanks so much. It was a heartbreaking loss here in Mississauga for the Raptors 905. 112-111 with Warren Ward. I'm Ben Shulman. 905 went up early in this game, then went down, then went up again. It was so back and forth, but somehow the Magic never were fully out of it.
And that's basically been the story of the season, kind of up and down. They couldn't find a way to, break the game open. Lakeland always found an and 1 or a 3 to counter what the 905 were doing and ended up coming back multiple times. And we saw them towards the end go on a little bit of the run of their own. 12-3 run in the third quarter for the 905 to start the quarter still wasn't enough. Lakeland just able to come back, and like I said, that's kind of been the story of the 905 season, where they're just not able to play consistently enough for an entire game. And what a tough loss. This is a heartbreaking loss for the 905. They deserved to win this game, but so did Lakeland.
They scored to go up with 6 seconds left in the game, but Xavier Simpson hit a remarkable shot, and then Kyler Kelly rimmed out a tap-in. I mean, the 905 nearly drew up that final play to perfection.
I mean, Xavier Simpson's shot wasn't even really a real jump shot. He kind of just threw it up, and his shoulder was going this way as he shot the ball, so I was so confused. I didn't think it was going in, and then Kyler Kelly, great inbound play. It's probably the one thing that you can do. You get your center at the rim. Omot misses the ball, and literally the 905 are 3 inches from winning this basketball game. He tipped it onto the back rim and not into the rim itself, and unfortunately 905 falls short on this one. So heartbreaking loss for me. I took off my head, so I could not believe that he missed that, and Xavier Simpson's able to knock down that 3. So tough loss, but again, 905 have another chance on Tuesday to control their own destiny as much as possible. Hopefully they can come out with a win on that game.
Yep, they will play the College Park Skyhawks, who are one of their biggest competitors in the playoff picture. Make sure to check that one out. 905 College Park, Tuesday night.
That'll be the final home game of the regular season for the 905, but let's switch our attention to around the league, looking at the MVP race. It's been updated as of recent. NBA.com's got Joel Embiid in the top spot. Sherm, who's your MVP right now? Are you still riding with the Joker, or has someone else caught your eye?
What do you mean still riding with the Joker?
Well, I mean, not you specifically, but the league. It's pretty much been consensus.
I was never riding.
It's pretty much been consensus around a lot of NBA folks. He had about 70% of the first place votes the last time they went around and did the poll. But you obviously, we've had our conversation.
No, 100%. If I had a vote, I wouldn't be a part of that 70%, let's say. And this is no knock on Joker. Offensively, he is a wizard. He is an amazing offensive player. I like Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid offensively has been great. Defensively, he's had his moments.
Yep.
But to me, the most complete player in terms of the MVP race is Giannis Antetokounmpo. Mm-hmm. And again, we were reminded on Sunday of how good he is. That might have been the quietest triple-double that I've seen.
Perfect from the floor.
Perfect from the floor. 10 assists. So now he's playing a brand of basketball that says you're going to build a wall, the team has done a good job putting shooters around me, I am going to learn how to pass and be better at that and find teammates. So I go with Giannis Antetokounmpo, and sometimes he's getting the Jordan treatment. He's just so good consistently.
Totally.
Yeah, he's so good consistently. We take it for granted. I don't want that to happen to the man.
Voter fatigue has definitely set in with Giannis. Definitely.
But not with Joker somehow.
Well,
It's weird.
because
He's
people
so fun to watch offensively.
people are the NBA in a sense has devalued defense,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
And people are enamored of the Joker's offensive skills. He's one of those guys I love to watch play. Couldn't jump over this coffee cup. But don't double him. He makes the right read. Like his skill, his finishing ability, shoots it from the inside, slow-mos his way to the basket, shot fake, up, under, pivots. Like he is one of the he might be the most outstanding offensive player in the year. Not in the league. Not
They need
necessarily
that award.
not necessarily dynamic,
Yeah.
but outstanding. Now on the other end, he has trouble guarding his shadow in the sun.
Yes.
And my MVP plays both ends of the floor. I've watched guys in games go at him because he's standing there. And he's not going to take a foul. He's just going to give you the basket, and I'll try to get it back at the other end. Joel Embiid had a dunk or had a block the other day against Cleveland. I had to go and back it up. He jumped on one side of the rim, looked like he was going to block Donovan Mitchell. Full-out jump, came down. The ball was wrapped, or was Chetty Osman, behind his back. Embiid came down, didn't look, turned and jumped full out the other way and blocked an Evan Mobley dunk. Like,
Impressive stuff.
I'm sorry Jokic is not doing that. Last night, Siakam had a chance. He was going at on a break. He looked. It's like, oh, that's Giannis back there.
Second guess yourself.
You just take a look. So my MVP plays both ends.
Has an impact on both sides.
And right now, I go with Giannis for his ability to guard out in the perimeter. But I think this is going to be Embiid's year. I think the voters are going to give it to Embiid.
I think he's due too. Still more to come, and what's due next for us on Raptors today is a matchup with the Indiana Pacers Wednesday, and we will give you a full preview of that matchup tomorrow. On tomorrow's episode, on behalf of Sherman Hamilton and Paul Jones, I'm Akil Augustine. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.